Good evening and welcome to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm meteorologist Ron Childers. What a busy day, and it's about to get even busier. We're here with you tonight to help answer your questions, give you some new info and an update on what's coming our way as we get into the weekend. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, on the Action News 5 app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. And by the way, if you don't have those apps, go to those streaming devices and search Action News 5 and download it. Great tool to have, and you can watch our newscast there, the digital desk as well. So a lot going on, and if you've got questions, you can enter those through Facebook. And our moderator tonight, Jacob Gallant. We got the head of the digital department assisting tonight. You know that's a big day when you're here. Wow, that's good. A manager on a Friday night, you don't see that often. Let's talk about what's going on. The winter storm warning is now officially in effect for Memphis and Shelby County, much of West Tennessee, all of eastern Arkansas. That is going to remain through 6 p.m. Sunday. Now, we also have an ice storm warning in effect for the counties that border the Tennessee River in West Tennessee. It includes Hardeman and McNairy counties here in the Action News 5 coverage area, but it's also for much of northern Mississippi, from Holly Springs to Corinth, down to Quitman, Panola, and Lafayette counties. So it is your first alert weather day tonight, Saturday and Sunday. Yes, indeed, we are looking at wintry weather. This is our latest thinking. Patrick Ellis did this map earlier today, and I think he's spot on with this. You draw that line from Corinth to around Clarksdale, and that is where we think we're going to see the greatest threat for ice. I mean, all ice for the most part, and the greatest concern and potential for freezing rain. Now, the difference between sleet and freezing rain is that sleet falls from the sky as ice pellets, bounces off things, most of it lands on the ground. Freezing rain falls in liquid form and then adheres to whatever it comes into contact with on the surface. So that's where I think we're going to see the greatest threats. Now, we can also see some impressive snow amounts, especially around parts of northwest Tennessee, northeastern Arkansas, and the Missouri Boot Heel. So I do think many folks in the Mid-South will see a pretty good amount of snow, but I also think we're going to see a lot of sleet and hopefully just a little freezing rain. Let's dive into it. Let's show you what we're looking at right now. First, let's start off with the timing. It's going to come in from 7 till about 10 into eastern Arkansas. So we're already seeing that spread into southern Arkansas, and it's making a move to the east. Right around 10 to 2 a.m. for much of northeast Arkansas, West Tennessee, and northern Mississippi, and that includes the Memphis metro. Then as we go from 2 to 4 a.m., we'll see it enter the rest of West Tennessee and on into northeastern Mississippi. So that's a general timeline, but this is a major storm system and it is firing up. And the one thing we did not want to see that looks like will play out is the area of low pressure driving all of this, ejecting north and east just as it gets into proximity to the Action News 5 coverage area. The reason that's a big concern is because as it comes north, it's bringing with it a surge of warm air. This thing's going to dip down in the Gulf, pick up that moisture, that warmer air, and then drive it north. Aloft, temperatures will likely get above freezing, and there will likely be a shallow layer of cold air at the surface. That increases the threat for the freezing rain as that liquid precipitation falls through the atmosphere and then hits that cold air layer at the surface. That will bring with it the potential for sleet and freezing rain. The depth of that cold layer is what will determine what we get. Now, it takes about 1,500 feet for a raindrop to fall through a segment of the column of the atmosphere that is below freezing for it to refreeze. That makes sleet. But if that depth of cold air is less than 1,500 feet, we're going to get freezing rain. So let's move forward with it. Check it out. Show you what we're looking at. This will eject north and east. And let me tell you, this is going to create big problems for the mid-Atlantic states. Up in New York, they're looking for like a foot of snowfall. My daughter's there, and it's got about a foot of snow coming her way. But also, you guys, something that I'm watching, Jacob, if this happens, well, here's what I'm talking about. There is the potential for Gulf effect snow along the Florida Panhandle and into the Tampa area. Yeah, that cold air is going to go all the way down. They're not going to get the bitter cold that we will have, but there will be some colder air aloft. And as that's moving on through and mixing in, there could be snow flurries in Tampa before the weekend is over and the beginning of next week. Crazy, right? So let's talk more about what's coming our way. Right now, clouds streaming into the area, but notice just to the southwest, we've got sleet and snow starting to transition into southern Arkansas. Rain in northeastern Texas, but we've got sleet and snow mixing in behind that as that warm nose is coming on into play. Right here in the Action News 5 coverage area, still precipitation free, but it is starting to make its way into southern Phillips County and making a beeline towards Coahoma County. From now until about midnight, that's when I think we're going to see it spread farther east. And look at these temperatures, 17 in Dyersburg at midnight, mid and upper 20s for much of northern Mississippi. Along and north of the 40 corridor is where I expect to find primarily snow, some sleet mixing in. So this could start off as a big burst of snow for many. Better chance for sleet along that 278 corridor. Then as we go through the remainder of the overnight hours into early Saturday morning, I think we're going to find a mix of snow and sleet over the area. But from Memphis south into North Mississippi, primarily sleet. And then north of that line, we'll likely find snow. So there could be several hours of snow in play for northeast Arkansas and northwest Tennessee. By midday, still likely getting snow in our northern counties, but that transition line for sleet snow starts to migrate a little farther north, taking it into Tipton, Lauderdale County, and into Mississippi County and Poinsett counties to our west. I think we could see some periods of very heavy sleet Saturday, midday through afternoon. Now, new data today is showing a little bit of a lull between about 4 and 7 p.m. But as we get into the evening hours, this is when we're going to see that nose of warm air start to make its way into northeastern Mississippi. Notice those little areas in green that you see south of Corinth and south of Oxford. Temperatures there will be well below freezing, in the lower 20s at the surface, low to mid 20s at the surface, but the air aloft will be above freezing. And that freezing rain is expected to move through Saturday night into the early morning hours of Sunday. Now, our weekend forecast right now, 90% chance for a wintry mix Saturday. Our high only hitting 20 degrees. I think snow and sleet primarily, but some freezing rain is possible. Can't rule it out. But I think we see a better chance of freezing rain to our south and east as we get into Saturday night and early Sunday, but an 80% chance of precipitation overall. Let's pick it up at midnight Saturday night. Notice that area of yellow, green, orange. That's where we could find heavy rain falling. That's where we could see the greatest accumulation of freezing rain from Selmer to Corinth, Ripley, Holly Springs, Urine Line, and Oxford as well. That will continue into the afternoon hours before finally edging out by late afternoon, early evening. We'll likely still be dealing with snow or with sleet in West Tennessee, northeastern Arkansas, but I think it's going to all finish out as snow as we get on into the later morning and midday hours. And then we'll get this whole system out of here, mainly by midday Sunday, but there's still the possibility for some snow showers to linger into the afternoon and early evening hours. Right now, this is our current thinking on ice amounts. 1/2 inch to 1 inch. 1 inch of ice on a power line is equivalent to about 2 tons of additional weight. That's a lot of weight on power lines. You get 1 inch of ice on tree limbs. That's about 2 tons of weight on that tree limb, big limbs, can bring them down. That's why this storm system in northern Mississippi has the potential to bring down trees, to bring down power lines, and create widespread long-term problems, especially for folks in northeastern Mississippi. I think we're going to be in better shape here in the Memphis metro. I do believe the majority of our precipitation will be in the form of sleet, and as I mentioned, that sleet primarily ends up on the ground, the vast majority of it. But if we see a transition to freezing rain, I think the chance for it is slim, but if we see it, there could be some accretion on power lines, tree limbs, and pose a problem to power in and around the city of Memphis and Shelby County. But the farther north you go, the less likely freezing rain, the greater probability for sleet and snow, and especially some heavy snow right around our northern counties. As a matter of fact, check this out. We're expecting about 4 to 8 inches of snow for the areas you see in pink. That's from Poinsett County through Mississippi County, Lauderdale, Dyer, Crockett County. You're included in that. And it would not surprise me if there were some pockets of 10 to 12 inches of snow in that area, because I think the majority of what's going to fall is going to be in the form of snow. Now you go a little south of that line from around Covington into the Memphis metro, about 2 to 4 inches on average, but you get a little closer to the Mississippi-Tennessee state line, the more likely to have sleet and less likely to have snow. So we're looking at about 1 to 2 inches, and then the rest of northern Mississippi, a trace to 1 inch. You're going to primarily get ice. It's very difficult right now to determine snow depth because there's still a lot of question as to the transition of snow to sleet or from sleet to freezing rain. Because if you get 1/10 of an inch of liquid precipitation as sleet, it's going to end up on the ground as right at or slightly more than 1/10 of an inch. However, if you get 1/10 of an inch of liquid precipitation that would fall as snow, that could add up to a potential 1 inch snowfall in a 10-to-1 ratio. So there's a lot of complicated meteorology that goes on with it, but these are our best estimates right now based on what we think will fall. But I do believe northern Mississippi is in for ice and lots of it, so we could see long-term problems there. So tracking the winter weather, here's what we know. The precipitation will move in tonight and spread through the entire Action News 5 coverage area into the early morning hours. It's going to continue through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. There may be a little lull in activity. I do think most of it's out of here by the afternoon hours on Sunday, but tonight, most of the day tomorrow night, and the first half of the day Sunday, we're going to be dealing with precipitation. A mix of sleet and snow for most areas. That includes Memphis and Shelby County, but freezing rain is most likely in North Mississippi. And folks, I think that's where we could end up with some big problems. The next big problem, the bitter cold. Check this out. We go below freezing tonight. We will be below freezing Saturday. We will be below freezing Sunday. We'll remain below freezing Monday, and I'm talking bitter cold for Sunday night and Monday night lows, single digits for most. Tuesday, we were hopeful that we would climb above freezing. I think most of us are going to remain right at or just below. Another cold night coming our way Tuesday night. Wednesday, looks like we could still be below freezing well into Thursday. As a matter of fact, it's likely that we don't see sustained temperatures above freezing until the first few days of February. Yeah, no fun. Now, an extreme cold watch is in effect now through 6 p.m. Sunday. That will likely be elevated to a warning. We'll wait for word from the National Weather Service on that. But check this out. Tonight, we fall to 16. We'll have a wintry mix moving in late night. It is going to be cold and windy, a northeast wind at 15 to 20 miles per hour. It's going to feel like it's in the single digits by 10 o'clock tonight. By midnight, should feel like it's about 8. As we get to 8 in the morning, it's going to feel like about 1 or 2 degrees out there with the wind and the cold. So if you're headed out, bundle up. We pick up Futurecast from 8 o'clock Saturday morning for Futurecast feels like temps. There could be areas that feel like they're below zero from Covington to Harrisburg, Dyersburg, Blytheville, and Wynn. Along and north of the 40 corridor, that's where I think we'll see the the somewhat stronger winds and the better probability of feels like temps at or just above the 0 degree line measurement there, and then feeling like it's in the teens across much of northern Mississippi. By 11 o'clock Saturday, still feels like it's in the single digits, and we're headed into a cold night tomorrow night. Now, fortunately, winds diminish a little bit by later in the day, Saturday and Saturday night, but still bitter cold with feels like temps, single digits to low to mid-teens. Sunday morning, I think it's going to feel like it's in the single digits everywhere. We're likely going to have a healthy coating of sleet, snow, and ice on the ground, and a wind overriding that. It's going to make it feel like it's 8 in Memphis at 6 p.m. Sunday evening. It's going to feel like it's 3 in Dyersburg, 9 in Oxford. No one avoids the cold in this. And again, that cold weather watch, in effect, likely being upgraded to a warning at some point. So, first alert weather day, Saturday. We're only going to have a high of 20. Your overall precipitation chance 90%. And look, I should just go 100%, but I rarely go 100%. Just, I don't know. It's one of those things I just always adhere to. Never go below 10, or never go below 10, never go above 90. 80% chance coming in on Sunday. But look, no matter where you are in the Mid-South, you are going to get winter weather out of this. And there will be accumulation. But the farther north you go, Dyersburg, Ripley, Covington, the more likely you are to see snow. The farther south you go, from Covington to Memphis to around Olive Branch, the more likely you're going to be to see sleet, heavy at times. And then you look at that line from around Corinth to Clarksdale. That's where I think we're going to see the greater threat for freezing rain. And look, I'm really concerned about our friends in northern Alabama and middle Tennessee, where we could have a major ice storm. I do believe people in North Mississippi are going to be talking about this system for a long time to come. I am optimistic about the position Memphis and Shelby County and much of the Mid-South are in right now in regard to the majority of precipitation being sleet mixing with snow. So none of this is good, all right? Snow's a lot of fun, still creates its own problems, but freezing rain is the worst of those 3 types of precipitation. And right now, I'm pretty confident that's going to stay confined to the south and east of the Memphis metro. But I do want you to get the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to your app store right now. You can download it. It's free for Apple and Android products. This is going to be a great tool to have to get you through this. You'll have hour-by-hour forecasts for your specific location. The interactive radar, the 24-hour futurecast is on there, and a host of other great tools. There's been an upgrade to the app. It's awesome. It's got some new features. It was a little clunky. We were having some problems with the 24-hour futurecast. That's all been worked out. It's a great app to have, and I tell you what, it's the only app that didn't show you earlier in the week that there would be 30 inches of snow on the ground, okay? So, the First Alert Weather app. Get the app. Now, with that said and done, I want to check in with Jacob Gallant. Let's find out what kind of questions we've got. Anybody wondering, have anything that we can offer some wisdom or insight to, Jacob?
Yes. Let me find it real quick. I did want to shout out Collier Henderson, who says, I never watch any other meteorologist for severe weather. Ron is the GOAT.
Dude, you are awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've been through a number of these, and I tell you what, I learned a lot from Dave Brown over the years. So I've got 35 years in weather right now. It's 36 now. Oh my gosh. Or no, is it 37? Started in 89. I've been doing this for 37 years. So yeah, I've got a few winter storms under my belt, so experience does come into play. And I was around for Ice Storm 94. I was well aware of the setup then. This one, there are some similarities, but I think a greater probability to our south and east. So I don't think Memphis and the Memphis metro is going to be in for another Ice Storm 94 type scenario. What else we got, Jacob?
Lauren Hoosier wants to know if it's supposed to get bad in the Richter.
Lauren, you're going to get snow. I think you're in a better, and Lauren is one of our loyal viewers and fans, and she loves snow. I know that for a fact, and I think you're going to see a lot of snow up there in Ripley, but I also think you're going to get a little decent coating of sleet on top of that as well. So be prepared. All types of winter weather coming your way. The other thing I want to stress, if you don't have to be out this weekend, don't go out. Stay home. Especially in northern Mississippi, stay home. If that ice builds up and power lines start falling, you don't want to be out in that. There could be live lines across roads, across highways. There's going to be a solid coat of ice on everything. You could find yourself in a lot of trouble in a short period of time. And by you staying home, that will allow first responders to get to people who may have significant, whether it be medical emergencies or what have you, that's going to help them out as well. So if we can keep everybody at home through this, that will be the best thing. What else you got, Jacob?
Sade Hewlett wants to know when things will clear up next week.
It's lingering impacts. That's what we're going to deal with. Whatever falls this weekend will not go anywhere, Monday or Tuesday. And look, even though we're looking at sunshine coming out, that sun on ice does minimal melting. And then with a hard freeze coming into play Monday night and again Tuesday night, this is going to be around. I think this is going to be around for much of next week. I think travel will be treacherous well into the middle of the week, maybe some clearing towards the end. But this is going to have some long-term impacts on a lot of areas in the Mid-South. And even though we're looking at sleet and snow in the Memphis metro, that sleet takes longer to melt than snow. So we could have some very icy roads as the weekend comes to a close and folks are thinking about heading back to work Monday, Tuesday of next week. I also think kids are going to get some time off school next week as well as a result of it. Let me touch on something else. I know you got a couple more questions for me, but one other thing I want to remind people, please call your elderly relatives, your friends, your neighbors. Make sure they are warm. Make sure they have the supplies they need to get through this. Should there be power outages, check on them frequently. Help them get through this. And also, don't forget about your pets. If you have outdoor pets, you have to bring them in. I'm talking single-digit lows Sunday night and Monday night. You've got to find, if you can't bring them into your house, find some sort of sturdy shelter and plenty of warm bedding that includes blankets. You're going to have to check their water frequently. They're going to need plenty of food. They're going to need shelter. If you can open up your garage, let them in there. Just a warm bed, a place to ride this out and be protected from the elements. We often forget about our pets. Cannot do that with this system. This is no time for man or beast outdoors. So that is a very, very important thing to deal with. Jacob, what else you got?
Multiple people concerned about Holly Springs.
Yeah, Holly Springs is right there on the edge. And look, I've got family in that area too, so I've been keeping a very close eye on it. Holly Springs has had their share of power outages. So right now, I'm leaning towards more sleet than freezing rain in Holly Springs. I really think Oxford and I really think Corinth are in the bullseye for what could be an ice storm 94 type situation for them. But Holly Springs, you're a little farther north. You're a little closer to that transition line that I think the majority of precip will be sleet. But look, you're still going to have issues with this. I could see easily 2 inches of sleet on the roads and on the ground when this is all said and done for those areas. So it is something we're going to watch very closely. But no matter where you are in the Mid-South, please prepare. The precipitation just now moving into our southwest. You get a couple of hours before it really starts to come down. If you don't have enough food right now, maybe think about hitting the store, hit the grocery store, stock up there, make sure your car is gassed up. I got to work today, look down, I park in the parking lot, and just as I'm turning the key off, I look and realize I got no gas. I had to jump back in the car, drop my stuff off, jump back in the car, turn around and go get gas and make sure I'm gassed up, because I've got to be here this weekend, and I will be from noon tomorrow through midnight tomorrow night. I'll be back at noon Sunday and noon till midnight Sunday night. So I'm going to be here riding this storm out with you, as will meteorologist Patrick Ellis. He's coming in at midnight tonight, and we'll be here through noon tomorrow. We're going to keep this digital desk going, so I want to invite you to come back, check in with us frequently. We're going to just treat this as we would a severe weather event, whether as if we were tracking tornadoes or thunderstorms or what have you, just so that you can pop in whenever it's convenient for you to get the latest information, know what's happening where, and we've got reporters spread out all over the Mid-South. We're going to be bringing you live reports from them as well, and I think many of them, we told them all before they left tonight, pack for a few days. So they could be down there for a little while. Anything else?
Christy Lively asked, do snow and sleet lessen the chance of power outage?
Yeah, they do, significantly. As I mentioned earlier, the sleet typically just hits things, bounces off, and ends up on the ground. Freezing rain is what falls in liquid form and just adheres to whatever it comes in contact with. So sleet is a frozen ice pellet that is just going to, there will be some minor accumulations, especially with maybe some melting snow or what have you, that could create a little accumulation on power lines and tree limbs, but not to the degree that freezing rain would do. So if you have your choice, which none of us do, but sleet is always the better option than freezing rain, at least in regard to power outages and down trees and tree limbs. That was one of the big issues we dealt with in '94. I remember we were staying at this television station had put us up at a hotel the night before the storm moved in, and myself, Kim Clark, Earl Farrell, and a couple of other folks in our production crew, we all stayed there at the hotel. Next morning, right around 4 or 5 a.m., we get up to come in and do our morning newscast, and we noticed how beautiful it was. Everything was coated in ice, everything. It had been a liquid precipitation through the overnight hours, finally tapered off around 5 a.m., and we're driving to work, and it was only just down the street. We were in Overton Square, and we were noticing how beautiful it was. We get into the building, and probably about 10 minutes after getting into the building, we hear kapow. And then you start hearing cracking, and then more kapow. And we're looking around, then the lights went out. That's when the power lines in the trees started going down under the weight of all of that ice. And from that point on, it was crazy. Power was out for many in Midtown for about 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, many in and around the city, downtown, Midtown, for about 2 weeks. There were parts of northern Mississippi that were without power for about a month. We could see a situation similar to that in northern and northeastern Mississippi again this weekend. So I want you to be prepared for anything and everything that comes your way. Jacob? All right, look, I'll take some time and go through the comments a little later on. I'm also doing cut-ins. We got the Grizzlies game on Action News 5, so check that out. I've got cut-ins coming up at halftime and another one at third quarter, so we're going to be keeping you updated on the air, on the web, and on the First Alert Weather app. So get the app, the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. For Jacob Gallant, I'm meteorologist Rod Childers. Have a great night. Be safe. We'll be back here on the digital desk throughout the day tomorrow night, and Sunday. We're here for you. So stay home. Let's ride it out. We'll get you through the storm. Have a good one.